Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Global Autism Project Supervision Program Information Session. My name is Ann Byrne, and I am the Global Autism Project Clinical Director. First, we're going to talk a little bit about the Global Autism Project and how we got where we are today. Our mission is to build local capacity to provide services to individuals with autism in underserved communities worldwide. An important part of this mission is that it is not that we aim to provide those services ourselves. Rather, we focus on building local capacity to provide services. In other words, to create competent and ethically sound professionals all over the world. Our vision at the Global Autism Project is a world where people with autism have access to services that enable them to reach their potential. And we work toward this vision by building local capacity in the following areas. First, awareness. In many areas of the world, autism awareness is minimal at best. And so we work to increase that awareness within the professional community as well as the community at large. Also, we work to build capacity in administrative practices. No matter how strong clinical practices are, a center has to stay open. So we build capacity in terms of the administrative practices and also the sustainable business practices of our service partners. And, of course, we focus on our high quality evidence-based clinical services and building the local capacity to provide excellent clinical services to individuals with autism. And now we're going to discuss a little bit about our history. Back in 2003 was our very first partnership with the Autism Awareness Care and Training Center in Accra, Ghana. Our founder, Molly Olapini, had traveled to Ghana with an American family and was going to stay in Ghana for 2 months, 3 months maybe, to help the family get set up with services. She ended up staying for 2 years. And the reason is that when she was there, people were literally knocking on her door asking if she was the person who knew what autism was. And which was a little surprising to her because in the US, she would not be considered an expert in autism, but here she was. And she found the professionals at the Autism Awareness Care and Training Center in Accra. And one thing that struck her was that she had not very much experience, but a lot of training in working with individuals with autism. And at the Awareness Care and Training Center in Accra, they had tremendous amounts of experience, but very little training. So she said someone should do something about that. and she decided that someone was her, and the something was starting the Global Autism Project. Our second service partnership was in India, in Chandahar, which is in northern India. Excuse me. And it's a partnership with an organization known as SORM. SORM provides services for children with disabilities, with a wide variety of disabilities, but also provides specialized services for children with autism. And we have provided training and applied behavior analysis for that organization. Another one of our service partners is Kazora Consulting in Nairobi, Kenya. And we're very fortunate to be working with a woman in Nairobi and from Nairobi named Pooja. And Pooja is pursuing her board certification with supervision from the Global Autism Project. And when she completes the certification, she will be the first the first professional who has both trained and worked in Africa for the entire time that she pursued her board certification. So that's a very exciting move toward disseminating behavior analysis. And we're really excited to be working with Kazora Consulting and particularly excited to be working with a professional like Pooja. We also have a service partner in Lima, Peru. And the center there is Alcanzando. It's being run by a wonderful BCBA named Mapi Chavez. And she the Global Autism Project helps support her in her sustainable business practices, as well as help supporting their staff and providing training. We also have a service partnership with an organization in Indonesia, and that organization actually has 7 different sites. So it's a huge organization serving lots and lots of kids in Indonesia. And so we're excited to be just at the beginning stages of that service partnership to be able to provide them with the kind of support to really help that center thrive and provide high quality services to all of those many, many children. We're fortunate at the Global Autism Project to have a really strong and wonderful clinical advisory board. Our clinical advisory board includes Peter Gerhardt, who's one of the leading authorities in adolescence and adulthood for individuals with autism. It also includes Bobby Newman, who has the distinction of being New York State's first certified behavior analyst, which means he took the test when it was only given in Florida. He actually had to go to Florida to take the test. And when it was finally administered in New York, he was one of the only people who could proctor it. So he really is another great example of disseminating behavior analysis and really strengthening the sort of professional clout of the board certification. So we're honored to have him on our clinical advisory board as well. We also have Patricia Wright, who in addition to being a PhD in BCBA also has a master's in public health. She works with Easter seals and has a tremendous amount of international experience and a wonderful perspective to share. Lori Vincent, who's a very strong member of our board, has helped provide some of our supervisory services. She is a PhD candidate and she has traveled with us. And also Emily Weinbrenner, who has been a tremendous resource, lots of international experience, and has just been a terrific addition to our clinical advisory board. So let's take a step back here and talk about why does the board require supervision? So this is what the board states. The purpose of supervision is to improve and maintain the behavior analytic, professional, and ethical repertoires of the supervisee and facilitate the delivery of high quality services to his and her clients. And I would say that one of the most important aspects of this described purpose of supervision is the word ethical. And I remember when I was taking my coursework toward the BCBA, one of the things that it said in my syllabus very clearly was, this course is not for the discussion of individual ethical issues. That is what your supervision is for. And as a supervisee, I really took that seriously as an integral part of the process. And as a supervisor, I take it even more seriously. I think that the supervision experience is really to build our ethics as a profession. And so that is certainly the board acknowledges that aspect of the supervision process. And I also think it's an essential part of the supervision process. Now, supervision with the Global Autism Project falls under the category of independent supervised field work. To qualify under this standard at the BCBA level, supervisees must complete 1,500 hours of supervised independent fieldwork in behavior analysis. And this includes 75 hours of direct contact with a BCBA supervisor. Now, 1,500 hours sounds like a lot. It breaks down to about a year to a year and a half process of acquiring certification. So the supervised experience hours, you can see on this pie chart a really clear illustration of the emphasis that the board puts on the field work. The supervised independent experience hours far outweigh the number of coursework hours. It's very clear here where the board wants us to have our focus in terms of our preparation and our training in behavior analysis. So why are we offering supervision at the Global Autism Project? Well, a couple of reasons. One is that we're seeing a growing need for quality supervision. Our field is really at a growth point right now, and it's very, very exciting. But what we're seeing is that need for really high quality supervision to make every professional graduating now the best that they can be. Also, it's very consistent with our mission of building capacity to provide high quality services all around the world. And that means everywhere in the world. We like to say that autism has no borders, and we mean no borders in either direction. So building those high quality services wherever you are in the world is crucially important to us. Also, we feel we have a unique perspective of culturally diverse experiences to share. I was honored to travel with the Global Autism Project, and one of the really surprising things about my travels with the Global Autism Project was that the professional growth that happened afterwards. So traveling with the project actually made me a much better behavior analyst when I got back home. And one thing I like to say is that emphasis on cultural sensitivity, those culturally diverse experiences are incredibly valuable, whether you're working across an ocean or right across the street. Our supervisors. Again, my name is Ann Byrne. I have over 20 years experience in the field. I was very fortunate to be one of the Elijah Foundation's first scholarship recipients, which meant that I was able to receive supervision from Bobby Newman, which was a tremendous honor and very influential on my work. I've presented at conferences both locally and internationally, and I have experience with applications of ABA throughout the lifespan and in various settings. I've worked in homes, early intervention centers, preschools. I've worked with school-age children and with adults and residences. So I've seen a lot of how ABA can be applied. Supervision with the Global Autism Project, our aim is to provide high-quality BCBA supervision services to all of our participants. A supervisory period is 2 weeks. And in order to count the experience hours within any given supervisory period, supervisees must be supervised at least once during that period. So having direct contact with the supervisor at least once during that period for no less than 5% of the total hours spent in supervised independent fieldwork. Now, one question we're getting is, how many hours is that 5%? And it will usually work out to about 30 hours a week. Some people do work much longer hours than that, but the board has certain restrictions as to what it considers acceptable fieldwork hours, the acceptable activities. So, for example, if you work at a school and you have a meeting about, say, an upcoming school event, or then that would not be covered under the acceptable activities, which the board requires for your supervised independent fieldwork. If you are, on the other hand, to research the effectiveness of different reinforcement schedules, that would be covered under the acceptable activities. So the total hours spent needs to be behavior analytic in nature. Individual supervision consists of a 90-minute meeting, excuse me, every other week with your supervisor via video chat. The video is very important. We do have to have that visual contact. So it's a 90-minute meeting every other week with the supervisor and has to be video. These meetings include review and feedback on videos of your work or on data, a discussion of items from the 4th edition task list for the Behavior Analyst Certification Board, and review of the Behavior Analyst Certification Board's guidelines for responsible conduct for behavior analysts. The group supervision consists of a 90-minute meeting every other week among 4 to 7 of your colleagues, and a brief lecture, topic introduction really, and a discussion. And here's where the Global Autism Project offers a really unique perspective. You'll get an opportunity to learn from each other within this group. So we support professionals all over the world. And what's really exciting about the group supervision opportunity is that you get an opportunity to learn with and from people who are affecting service delivery on a global scale. So we have a very diverse group of professionals, and we're continuing to grow. It's a really exciting way to sort of learn to stretch ourselves professionally and learn about how the science can be applied in all kinds of settings all over the world. Topics covered in groups are all related to the task list and the guidelines. So topics include science versus pseudoscience. They include data collection, a variety of different ways to take data, the selection of appropriate target behaviors. And most importantly, the group focuses on ethics. The guidelines for responsible conduct are covered in most meetings, and they are required reading for your supervision experience. Now for the costs. We have 2 different options for meeting the costs of supervision. One is the monthly payment option. Using this option, the group supervision only would be $180 per month. The individual supervision only is $300 per month. And the group plus individual supervision package is $480 per month. Now, the group and individual package would be what I would highly recommend. For one reason that I would recommend that is that the individual piece is required for board certification. At least half of your supervisory hours have to be in individual sessions. So that's very important. The other piece is that what the Global Autism Project offers, this unique sort of focus on cultural sensitivity and the global impact of the work we do, is really best experienced in those groups and forming those relationships and networking with those professionals who, again, are affecting service delivery on a global scale. And the second option is a quarterly payment option, which is a little bit less expensive. The group supervision option, quarterly payment, so that's for 3 months, would be $450 for 3 months. And the individual supervision option is $750 for 3 months again. Group plus individual supervision is $1,200 per month. And again, that's the option that I would highly, highly recommend. For the quarterly payment, we do have a refund policy. If you've attended all of the sessions that you've paid for in the first 30 days, you'll receive a refund for the remaining time. After the first 30 days, we would not be able to provide refunds, and we wouldn't be able to provide refunds if you've not attended every session. So it's crucial to make sure that you attend all those sessions. Now, covering the costs, we're hearing about people getting funded from a variety of sources, and we're happy to accept payment from employers or from grants or universities, and we'll happily complete any of the required paperwork to help you expedite that process. So getting started, we have sort of a rolling admissions, and we're creating groups of 5 to 7 people, and we can take up to 10 to 15 supervisees at a time. Our first cohort of supervisees is underway, and people are having a really positive experience. They're really enjoying it and learning with and from one another. And I highly encourage you to join us and become part of this exciting experience yourself. So first, fill out an application on our website. And then once that's completed, you can be contacted for an interview, and you'll be sent a contract for review. And that contract will also include payment instructions, as well as a way to communicate your schedule to us so we can schedule for those sessions. Thank you so much. If you have any further questions, please feel free to email us at supervision@globalautismproject.org. Thank you again.